Don't ignore those pennies. Some Lincoln cents hiding in your pocket change are worth way more than 1 cent. From double dies to mint errors and rare dates, collectors pay hundreds, even thousands, for the right penny. Check your coins carefully. That little cent could be your big treasure. The 1983 penny belongs to the Lincoln cent series, one of the most familiar coins in American history. Since 1909, Abraham Lincoln's profile has graced the obverse of the cent, a tribute to the 100th anniversary of his birth. The design, created by Victor David Brenner, became one of the most beloved and longest-running in U.S. coinage history. By 1983, Lincoln's image had already been in circulation for nearly 75 years, and the coin had undergone one major design change in 1959 when the reverse switched from wheat stalks to the Lincoln Memorial. For most people, the 1983 cent looked just like every other modern penny, but behind the scenes, something significant had changed in 1982. The U.S. Mint made a major shift in the composition of the cent. Rising copper prices had made it too expensive to continue minting pennies from nearly pure copper. Before 1982, cents consisted of 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving them a solid, heavy feel. Starting in mid-1982, however, the mint switched to a composition of 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper, applied as a thin plating. The result was a much lighter coin. This switch might sound like a small detail, but it would play a huge role in creating some of the most valuable error pennies ever found, including the 1983 penny point. One of the most famous errors tied to the 1983 cent is the double die reverse. In a double die error, the coin's design is accidentally struck twice at the hubbing stage, slightly misaligned, leaving parts of the design doubled. For the 1983 cent, the doubling on the reverse side is dramatic and easily visible. Collectors can see it clearly in the inscriptions United States of America, 1 cent, and the motto E pluribus unum. The letters appear thick, doubled, almost like shadows overlapping themselves. For collectors, this kind of dramatic doubling is the holy grail of error hunting because it is unmistakable to the naked eye and rare enough to command massive value. Another variation that makes the 1983 cent fascinating is the discovery of transitional errors. Since 1982 was a split year between copper and zinc cents, mistakes in planchet use carried into 1983. That means some 1983 pennies were accidentally struck on leftover copper planchets instead of the intended zinc ones. This mistake created an ultra-rare transitional error. To the naked eye, the coin looks like any other penny, but the weight tells the real story. A standard zinc 1983 cent should weigh about 2.5 grams, but a copper-based cent will weigh closer to 3.1 grams. That 0.6 gram difference may seem small, but it makes all the difference in value. If you have a 1983 penny that weighs in at 3.1 grams, you could be holding a transitional error worth thousands, possibly pushing into that coveted $50,000 to $130,000 range if in top condition. Off-center strikes also contribute to the world of 1983 penny errors. If the blank planchet wasn't properly aligned when struck, the result could be a coin with a portion of the design missing, replaced by blank space. Some off-center errors are minor, with just a sliver of misalignment, but the dramatic ones, where half the design is off the coin yet the date remains visible, are the ones collectors crave. These are visual oddities, fascinating to hold, and when tied to a year like 1983, which already carries so much numismatic intrigue, their values skyrocket. Even more elusive are broad strikes and die breaks. A broad strike happens when the collar that usually contains the coin's shape malfunctions, allowing the metal to expand beyond its normal boundaries. These errors leave the coin wider and flatter than usual, looking warped and unusual. Die breaks, on the other hand, occur when the minting die itself develops a crack. When coins are struck with the damaged die, raised lines or blobs of metal appear on the coin's surface, sometimes creating shapes that collectors nickname, like cuds or die chips. While not all die breaks add massive value, significant or unusual ones from 1983 can push interest higher, especially when combined with the already rare double die or transitional planchet errors. So how does a coin go from being just a penny to a six-figure treasure? The answer lies in rarity, demand, and condition. For starters, errors like the 1983 double die reverse are extremely limited in number. Only a small batch was struck before the mint corrected the error, meaning only a handful survive today. The transitional copper planchet errors are even rarer, with possibly only a few examples known. Scarcity alone fuels the value, but when you combine it with collector demand, people who dedicate their lives and wallets to owning these unique pieces, you end up with bidding wars at auctions that drive prices into the tens of thousands. Condition is equally critical. A 1983 double die reverse in average circulated condition might fetch thousands, but in pristine mint state with full red luster, it becomes a trophy coin. That's when values leap into the extraordinary, reaching the $50,000 to $130,000 range. Collectors aren't just buying a coin at that point. They're buying history, rarity, and the pride of owning something that only a handful of others in the world possess. The thrill of discovery is another part of the story. Many of these coins weren't immediately identified when they were struck. Instead, they turned up in everyday change, in rolls from the bank, or in coin collections passed down through generations. Imagine the shock of someone going through a jar of pennies only to realize one of them looks a little off, with doubled letters or a heavier weight. That small realization could lead to a fortune. Stories of ordinary people stumbling upon these rare coins continue to inspire new collectors to keep checking their change, hoping lightning might strike twice. The 1983 penny teaches us something important about coin collecting. It's not just about the old, historic pieces from the 1800s or earlier. Even modern coins, ones minted within our lifetimes, can carry extraordinary value if the right mistake is present. That's what makes it so exciting. You don't need to be a millionaire or a professional treasure hunter to find one. You just need to be observant, curious, and a little lucky. Think about it for a moment. You could have spent pennies from 1983 countless times in your life without realizing their potential. They might have passed through your hands at the grocery store, jingled in your pocket as spare change, or been tossed into a fountain for luck. Any one of those coins could have been the one. That's the beauty of numismatics. The extraordinary often hides in plain sight, waiting for someone with a sharp eye and a bit of knowledge to uncover it. Collectors. The 1983 penny represents more than just a coin. It represents the possibility of discovery, the joy of finding something rare where no one else thought to look, and the incredible way history and chance can collide. From double dies that create bold, doubled letters to transitional copper planchets that defy their intended composition, the errors of 1983 turned an ordinary cent into a legend of modern coin collecting. So the next time you come across a penny from 1983, don't dismiss it as just pocket change. Hold it up to the light, look closely at the inscriptions, weigh it if you can. Does the lettering seem doubled? Does the coin feel heavier than it should? Could it be off-center, stretched, or carry an unusual raised mark? Because if it does, you could be holding not just a penny, but a piece of numismatic history, worth anywhere from $50,000 to $130,000, and that is the thrill that keeps collectors searching, keeps coin jars being poured out, and keeps everyday change just a little more exciting. The 1983 US 1-cent penny error reminds us that even the smallest coin in your pocket could be hiding a story worth telling, and a fortune worth discovering. The penny has always been the smallest piece of US currency in circulation, often ignored, dropped on sidewalks, or tossed into jars without a second thought. People walk past them on the ground, dismiss them as worthless, and even tell children that pennies don't matter anymore. Yet what if I told you that a single 1995 US 1-cent penny, overlooked by most, could actually be worth tens of thousands of dollars? What if a coin you've likely seen countless times might carry a hidden error that transforms it from spare change into a life-changing treasure valued anywhere from $42,000 to $116,000? That's the breathtaking reality of the 1995 penny error, a coin that proves even the smallest denomination can hold the greatest surprises. In 1995, the United States Mint produced billions of pennies. Each one bore the familiar design, Abraham Lincoln's dignified profile on the obverse, with the words "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" to the left, and the year of issue to the right. On the reverse stood the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of national pride and a tribute to the man whose leadership preserved the Union. At first glance, these pennies all looked identical. They jingled in pockets, clinked into piggy banks, and passed through countless hands. But beneath this sea of sameness, a rare error slipped through the cracks. One mistake, repeated only in a limited number of coins, gave birth to one of the most sought-after modern error coins in American history. That error is the double die obverse. In simple terms, this happens when the coin's design is struck twice, but slightly misaligned. The result is lettering and details that appear doubled, as if they cast a faint shadow. On the 1995 penny, the doubling is most noticeable in the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," where the letters look slightly echoed, as though two overlapping stamps were used. At first glance, it can be subtle, and many people who held these pennies in 1995 probably didn't notice a thing. But to collectors, this doubling is like a neon sign screaming rarity, and it's what transforms an ordinary penny into a coin valued between $42,000 and $116,000 depending on its condition. Why does this error matter so much? It's because it shouldn't have happened. By 1995, the mint's processes were highly advanced. Quality control was supposed to eliminate mistakes like double dies, which were more common in earlier decades. Yet somehow this one slipped through. Not just one coin, but a small batch that entered circulation. And because billions of pennies were made that year, the error pennies were needles in a haystack, blending in perfectly unless you knew exactly what to look for. That rarity, combined with the iconic Lincoln design, makes them priceless in the eyes of collectors. Imagine the thrill of discovery. A person sorts through their change one evening, maybe while rolling pennies to take to the bank. They spot one from 1995. Something looks odd about the lettering, but they shrug it off. Later, curiosity gets the better of them, and they grab a magnifying glass. Suddenly they see it, the doubling in Liberty, the strange shadows in God We Trust. They realize they're not holding an ordinary penny at all. They're holding a piece of history, a mistake worth tens of thousands. From that moment, their world changes, because this little copper coin could sell at auction for anywhere between $42,000 and $116,000. That's not just pocket change. That's a new car, a college tuition fund, or even a down payment on a house. Collectors chase this coin for the same reason treasure hunters search for gold: the thrill of the hunt. Every 1995 penny someone checks carries the possibility of being the error. Every coin jar, every roll of pennies from the bank could hide the jackpot. That sense of mystery and possibility keeps collectors searching, knowing that the next coin they examine might be worth more than a lifetime of ordinary change. Condition is everything when it comes to value. A 1995 double-die penny that's been in circulation for decades, scratched and worn, will still carry a premium, but it won't reach its full potential. On the other hand, a coin discovered in near-perfect condition, with its details crisp and clear, could easily cross into six-figure territory. That's when the price climbs to the staggering high of $116,000, because collectors will pay almost anything for perfection combined with rarity. That's why grading services like PCGS or NGC are essential, because a professionally certified grade transforms a coin from a curiosity into an authenticated treasure that collectors trust. Auction houses have seen firsthand the power of this coin. When a 1995 double-die penny comes up for sale, the bidding is fierce. Collectors know how rare it is, and they don't hesitate to compete. The numbers rise quickly, starting in the tens of thousands, then climbing higher and higher until the final hammer drops. For the lucky owner, what once cost them a single cent has turned into a windfall in the tens of thousands. And for the winning bidder, the pride of owning one of the most iconic modern error coins justifies every dollar. What makes the story even more fascinating is how many of these pennies could still be out there. Unlike rare coins from the 1800s or early 1900s, which have largely been accounted for by collectors, the 1995 penny is modern enough that examples might still sit unnoticed in piggy banks, coin jars, or drawers across America. That's what makes it exciting. It could be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone to pay attention. It might even be in your home right now, tucked away in a forgotten pile of change. Think of the possibilities. You reach for a penny to scratch a lottery ticket, and instead of being worthless, it turns out to be worth more than winning the lottery itself. You grab some change to pay at a gas station, and one coin you almost spent could have been valued at $42,000 to $116,000. The irony is that most of these rare coins probably passed through the hands of people who never noticed, who used them in vending machines or dropped them into parking meters without realizing what they had just lost. The 1995 penny error teaches us an important lesson. Value isn't always obvious. Sometimes it hides in the details, in tiny differences invisible to the casual eye. To most people, it's just a penny. But to the trained eye, it's a masterpiece of rarity. That's the magic of coin collecting. It transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. It rewards patience, attention, and knowledge. So the next time you're handed change, don't ignore the pennies, especially not one from 1995. Hold it up, take a closer look. Inspect the letters carefully. Do they look doubled? Do they seem to cast a shadow? If they do, you might be holding more than just a coin. You might be holding a fortune valued between $42,000 and $116,000. And isn't that an incredible thought? That something dismissed as small and insignificant could carry such immense worth. That a coin we so often overlook could become a life-changing discovery. The 1995 penny error isn't just a story about money. It's a story about paying attention, about appreciating the hidden treasures in the everyday world, and about how even the smallest coin can hold the biggest surprise. Think about how many pennies you've come across in your life. They're everywhere. Tucked away in couch cushions, lying forgotten in your car's cup holder, rattling around in your pocket, or sitting in a jar on the kitchen counter. Most of the time, people don't even take pennies seriously anymore. Some stores leave little trays of them by the cash register because people don't bother carrying them. But what if one of those seemingly insignificant copper-colored coins could change your life? What if, hidden among the ordinary, you found a 2016 US 1-cent penny with a rare mint error worth not just a few cents but anywhere from $30,000 to a staggering $87,000? Suddenly, that tiny coin most people ignore becomes a life-changing treasure. The story of the 2016 penny is one that proves not all coins are created equal. On the surface, the design looks just like every other penny you've seen for years. Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile is on the obverse, as it has been since 1909, honoring the 16th President of the United States. The reverse design, introduced in 2010, features the Union Shield, a powerful symbol representing national unity. By 2016, billions of these pennies had been minted, and they circulated everywhere, from the smallest towns to the busiest cities. But tucked within this sea of pennies are rare minting errors, accidents during production that turned ordinary cents into extraordinary treasures. So, what makes the 2016 penny error so fascinating? The value comes from mistakes made during the striking process at the US Mint. These errors might include double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, or misaligned dies. Each error is different, and no two error coins are ever exactly the same. This uniqueness is part of what makes them so collectible. For the 2016 Lincoln cent, examples with dramatic errors, like clear doubling in the inscriptions, off-center designs where Lincoln's portrait is shifted, or raised die cracks cutting across the coin, have been documented and authenticated by grading services. Coins like these are highly sought after by collectors, pushing their values to incredible levels. And this is where it gets exciting. Depending on the type of error and the overall condition of the coin, these 2016 pennies have been valued anywhere from $30,000 on the lower end to as much as $87,000 for the most pristine, dramatic examples. Stop and think about that for a moment. A penny worth just 1 cent, less than the lowest denomination in US currency, suddenly becoming worth more than some cars, more than a year's salary for many people, even more than the cost of sending your kid to college for a year. That's not just a coin. It's a hidden jackpot. The reason collectors go crazy for these coins has to do with a few important factors. First, rarity. Mint errors are not supposed to happen, especially in modern times. By 2016, the Mint had implemented advanced technology and strict quality control measures, meaning errors slipped through less frequently. When an error coin does surface from this era, it's far rarer than errors from earlier decades. Rarity always drives value. Second, condition. A coin that was pulled from circulation early and remains in nearly mint state condition will always bring a higher price than one that's been heavily worn. Third, demand. Lincoln cents are one of the most popular series in US coin collecting, and that demand fuels fierce competition among collectors when a rare error surfaces. Picture someone stumbling across one of these error pennies. They might find it while counting change after buying lunch, or while digging through a jar of coins at home, or even while sorting rolls of pennies from the bank. At first glance, it's just another coin. But maybe they notice something strange. The words "In God We Trust" look doubled, or Lincoln's face seems shifted off the coin, or there's an unusual raised line cutting across the surface. To someone who knows coins, that odd detail is a flashing signal. This penny is not ordinary. That moment of realization is what makes coin hunting so thrilling. You never know when a tiny detail could reveal a fortune. Collectors love error coins because each one tells a story. They are physical proof that even the most controlled, industrialized processes can make mistakes. At the mint, coins are struck under enormous pressure, using dies that imprint the design onto blank planchets. If the dies are misaligned, if they're worn out, or if something goes wrong with the setup, the resulting coins can carry those mistakes. Most are caught and melted down, but some escape. Those are the ones that end up in people's hands, hiding in circulation, waiting to be discovered. And when they are, they become treasures that combine rarity, artistry, and history all in one small copper-coated disc. The 2016 penny error is especially compelling because it's so recent. Many people assume only old coins have value, but that's not true at all. Modern coins can be just as valuable if they have the right kind of error. In fact, collectors often get more excited about modern errors because they're unexpected. Everyone knows a coin from the 1800s might be valuable, but a coin from 2016? That's something almost no one would think twice about until they see the error. Auction houses have witnessed firsthand the frenzy these coins can cause. When a 2016 error penny shows up, collectors from around the country, and even around the world, compete to own it. Prices climb rapidly as bidders refuse to back down, each one determined to add the rare piece to their collection. It's this competition, fueled by rarity and demand, that drives the price range up to $30,000 to $87,000. That upper figure is staggering, but it's real, and it shows just how much passion exists in the coin collecting world. Think about the return on investment here. You could find a penny in your pocket that cost you literally nothing. Maybe it's been sitting in a jar for years. Maybe it came as change from buying coffee. And suddenly, that penny could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. It's like finding buried treasure in plain sight. The beauty of coin collecting is that it's accessible to everyone. You don't have to be a professional numismatist to find a rare coin. All you need is awareness and curiosity. Checking your change, looking closely at coins for odd details, or even searching rolls of pennies from the bank are ways anyone can participate. Stories abound of ordinary people discovering rare error coins completely by accident and walking away with life-changing sums. The 2016 penny error is one of those coins that keeps that dream alive. Condition is everything in this world, and that's why collectors send their coins to professional grading services. A 2016 penny error graded by organizations like PCGS or NGC with a high grade, something like MS65 or above, can push its value into the $87,000 range. Lower grade coins with less dramatic errors still command impressive sums, but the truly pristine examples are the ones that make headlines. The excitement around this coin also highlights something important: our culture's fascination with small things holding big value. A penny is the most overlooked coin in circulation, often treated as worthless or disposable. And yet, this same coin, when struck with an error, becomes a prized possession worth more than some people's homes. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the most ordinary objects hold extraordinary secrets. So, the next time you find a penny on the ground, think twice before leaving it there. That little coin could be more than just spare change. It could be a 2016 error penny, one of those rare treasures worth anywhere from $30,000 to $87,000. And the only way you'll know is if you look. Take a moment, examine it closely, and see if there's something unusual about it. That small act of curiosity could uncover a life-changing fortune. This is the magic of error coins. They bridge the gap between the ordinary and the extraordinary. They remind us that even in a world where billions of coins are identical, one mistake can create something unique, something valuable, something worth far more than anyone ever expected. The 2016 penny is proof that history, rarity, and opportunity can come together in the palm of your hand.